Good morning. Welcome to Sunday Sunrise. If it's Sunday, it's Sunday Sunrise. My name is David Williams, reporting from my driveway. Yeah, in my car, Malibu. How about those birds, Isn't that cool? Kind of reminds me of that old CBS Sunday morning show, you know what? But that's at the end. What they say, oh, now we bring you to this wonderful meadow in South Carolina, and there's all sorts of wildlife, and you got the pictures and everything. I don't have that. Again, this is more of an internet-based radio show. And 21 minutes live, Monsignor Jim Vallon, his message today on commitment. We'll be revisiting that topic, or we'll be reflecting on it, because it's been done before, and it's a very important thing to recommit. Now, again, that word commitment has multiple meanings. It'd be fun to talk about some other meanings besides that which the Monsignor intends. He'll be talking about our commitment to our faith, to our God, to that other person in our life, our significant others, to ourselves, to humanity. And I'm looking forward to it, now 20 minutes to the Monsignor. So I'll be heading over to the Two Heart Sunglasses supermarket. And again, the birds, well, I recorded them this morning. 9 minutes of just this. And I might expand it. I might. Like DJ Disco Cat, the YouTube user with the great expansion of the song Overkill by Australian rock band Men at Work, from its normal, radio length, about 3 or 4 minutes, to well over 7 minutes with Overkill. I think that's a lot of fun to do. Many of her creations, DJ Disco Cat. But here's David Williams. Oh, yeah, right into time travel. David Williams of yesterday to help me out, to get me over there. It's just a half a mile away. Billy Joel. No, I'm just kidding. David of yesterday, come in. Are you there?
Washing machine going.
Yeah.
And, well, the karaoke machine.
Uh-huh.
That's right, the JYX S55 karaoke machine that my mom got me for Christmas. And it's playing a Carly Simon song.
Yeah, it sounds
You're
like
so vain.
Yeah, it sounds
And
like You're
I've
So
heard
Vain.
people say
sounds-
it's about Warren Beatty. That's who it was. It was he. It was his horse at Saratoga. And it was he that wanted to see the total eclipse of the sun in Nova Scotia.
Yeah,
and there'll be a total eclipse of the sun next year, next April. Welcome to whatever. Here's the thing. When I say
certainly
start,
affect Nova Scotia, Maine,
see
New
how
York,
fast I can get into my
across the
song. We're
swath of
singing
our great
fine there.
land, down to
My
Texas.
seniors program tomorrow entitled Commitment.
Yeah.
Now that could mean a lot of things. That word could have several meanings. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to try to pop in there into the archive and find it, and then blast into it ahead of time. So that's where I'm going right now, into the song archive. And again, keeping the song going, continuity. So you'll know if I try to cheat. I wouldn't lie to you, folks. That's really the whole thing. It's just
You're
a test
testing yourself to see how fast you can go back in time to a prior episode.
COMMIT ought to be enough. Yeah.
Come in.
Take you back now to 2020.
Execute.
Oh, no, that's
Engage.
part 3. No. It's in part 2 of 2020. Includes religion and rock. Monsignor Jim Vallon, WBAB 102.3, Long Island's only classic rock. And so, yeah, from March the 8th to 2020.
Ooh, 3 years.
3 years ago. So come on. Sometimes, folks, from 3 years ago, these time travel things takes a while.
Wednesday was packed. Churches were packed to the rafters. I was at St. Patrick's Cathedral. The line was around the block. There's something beautiful about that, Commitment is important. We need it in our lives. And that's what we're recognizing today on Religion and Rock. To start us off, this is the alarm. It's full strength.
Now, David of 3 years ago, I don't think he's going to sing this one. I don't think he knows it very well. I think he's going to talk over it. That's what I think.
All right, Mark 2:20 now. 2 minutes, 20 seconds, just a little bit. David of the future, you can start right here.
All right, man. We're starting it right
Are you going to do a talk over in the back? You can do it in the back.
Good morning, David Williams, apartmentkaraoke.com. And if it's Sunday, it's Sunday Sunrise. And yeah, I'm a little late for the Monsignor show. The time is currently 6:57 a.m. Now, of course, Malibu's main display clock says 5:57 a.m., but that's because Malibu, I guess, is not programmed.
Daylight savings time. I also checked that this morning in addition to recording the bird song. And that's next Sunday, the 12th of March. Yeah.
Daylight savings thing.
And so, yeah, it actually is that. And obviously, well, that's fine. Well, they obviously started the Monsignor Show early at WBAB 102.3.
And you're late.
Monsignor started a little early this morning, his program, Religion and Rock, and I am late. Yeah, it's not a big deal. And I will tell you, last week, I think I might have missed the opening minute or so, or two, or something like that, of the Monsignor Show, and I was able to go back and pick up that missing minute by going into the website, www.cfntv.org, clicking on the menu button, and I joined you, and then clicking on the show entitled Sack, starting the show from the very beginning, from the very opening notes of the Steve Winwood song, When You See a Chance. Yeah. However, this week I won't be able to do that. Here's why. They have a great new redesign at the Catholic Faith Network of their website, and I have not yet been able to find the page where you can binge listen to all the Monsignor shows. Well, that's easy, David of the Past. That's religionandrock.com. They changed there, and now the whole structure and the menus changed, so I apologize, I will not be able to go back and replay whatever it was that I missed of this morning's program, Religion and Rock. And so we'll just take it from here, from wherever there is the current time. 6:59 a.m. Malibu says temperature outside here on Long Island 31 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm out here at a 7-Eleven having just gotten a cup of coffee. Yeah, yes, there was fine coffee at the hotel. I just felt like a large, they only have the smaller cups, kind of like those Dixie cups. And that's fine, but I felt like a large Colombian and Brazilian mixed coffee. And not to denigrate the hotel coffee of the place here in Suffolk, the hotel in Suffolk County. I don't tell you which hotel.
Well, I will pop in here again from March the 5th of 2023 as I pull into the parking lot of the Two Heart Sunglasses supermarket just to say it was the Balloon Heart Hotel, but that also is a code. And David Blaze of the Past.
Yeah, last night and the night before. And tonight, with any luck, I'll be home. Upstate New York. Right now I'm downstate visiting Faye. And no, Faye is not here. I am here with you, my fine Americans. And if it's Sunday, it's Sunday sunrise. Good light. There we go. Anyway, we finally got a chance to watch the movie Faye in the hotel room on my tablet. A beautiful day in the neighborhood, starring Tom Hanks in his role portraying Mr. Rogers, and it was fantastic. Ray and I both loved it. See, that's the kind of role David of the Past. Tom Hanks would play a great guy like Mr. Rogers. Recently, because it was the celebration, or Tom Wolfe, the writer of Bonfire of the Vanities,
yes,
talked about a role as Sherman.
Yeah, never mind that whole thing, that whole Sherman
in a role
thing.
like that. Yeah, I still got to read that.
Yeah, that's a fine movie, about Mr. Rogers. Now, David Williams of the Past, I appreciate that. I really do. But now we're going to jump ahead 2 years to 2022, March of 2022.
Good morning. My name is David Williams. Welcome to Sunday Sunrise for the 13th of March, 2022. Now, first things first, we have to change Malibu's time. That's right. We have to spring forward. Daylight savings time is back. So the current time is 6:42. Malibu says 5:42 because of the fact that doesn't automatically change.
Yeah, Malibu. Amazing vehicle, however. 2016 black Chevrolet Malibu. Love you. Hey, Mal. Doing a great job then, too, as well. This is from March the 13th of 2022, almost a year ago.
That's the title of today's show. Now, it was a year ago it was actually March the 14th of 2021 that the Monsignor also had a show by that same name, that same subject about commitment. That's because it's a very important subject and one that should be covered multiple times, just like his show on forgiveness. You know, yes, he's had multiple of those, sometimes like the holiday time.
And we had Revisiting Forgiveness, both the internet-based audio show and the YouTube video. Well, pseudo-video, sort of. Pseudo.
The best gifts. He's had more than one of those. Perfect. It's a seasonal show. You know, the best gifts. And let me tell you something about those best gifts. They're not what you think they might be, you know. It's not something in a box under a tree. Those best gifts, well, they're intangibles, you know. You can't buy them. It's like the Beatles when they say, you can't buy me love. Absolutely. So,
well, it's the people you know, the people you love, the great times with those people.
In the driveway, yeah. I'm in my car Malibu in the driveway of my apartment, still pretty early. And, well, I was going to do a Jesus Only Jesus with Charles Billingsley, you know, for the trip over to the Two Heart Sunglasses supermarket. Yeah, I got to get out of here.
Which is where I am now, at the Two Heart Sunglasses supermarket, just a half a mile away. The great song by Charles Billingsley, only 3 minutes and 16 seconds long, to give honor to God's promise to us. You know, that's right. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. David of the past knows this information as well.
So here he is, Mr. Billingsley, also with Penrod, Cottrell, and O'Brien in mobile mode. Jesus, only Jesus. So switching, of course, over to...
That's right. Here in 2023, I've got 9 minutes. 9. That's how much time I have until the Monsignor comes out live. Plenty of time.
Who has the power to raise the dead? And who can save us from our sin? He is our hope, our righteousness. Jesus, only Jesus. The
just arrived at my usual parking spot here at the Two Heart Sunglasses supermarket, and I'm going to go ahead and, this is interesting, Fire and Rain, just before I left my apartment to get into my car this morning, I was listening to James Taylor talking to the BBC about John Lennon. That was the title of the YouTube video.
Wow, what a coincidence. That is
And I just
interesting.
happened to be up having a cup of coffee, watching a YouTube video with James Taylor. Now, what were they talking about? Well, back in the day, the Beatles. Some say that they helped James out. They helped James Taylor out with his career. He recorded over there in Apple Studio, in England. The Beatles. Now, sometimes they would be working, They would be working like the day shift, working on like the White Album. And then after they were done and they left, James Taylor come in, recording like his first album. It was pretty cool. Got to hang out with the Beatles, sure. Party with him, talk to him, and learned a lot. And so all that's featured in the interview with the BBC on YouTube. Check it out. So 6:48 a.m. Now a technical challenge on my part is I'm going to iHeart, which is, streaming radio, so I can pick up WBAB 102.3, Long Island's only classic rock. That's because the Monsignor show is being broadcast from there. And I can't pick it up here because I'm upstate New York. So I'll pick it up via streaming radio, and we'll see how it goes. Now I'm looking forward to this show. Commitment. Again, my intention is, I hope, sometime today to be able to go back, do one of those time travel things and go back.
Oh, absolutely, David of last year. And we'll get back to you. Now we're rejoining David of 3 years ago, 2020.
In the movie, the character that is being portrayed by the person is kind of a composite character. It isn't really Tom so much as a guy.
You mean it isn't so much Mr. Rogers? It isn't so much Tom.
Yeah, Tom played Mr. Fred Rogers in the movie, not to be confused. They're both great guys.
Someone was out on one of these shows like The View, and or it might have actually been Fox and Friends, and they were talking about the horrific train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, and they said, Erin Brockovich is so very important to to this movement of protecting people from toxic chemicals, and someone said, yeah, where is Julia Roberts? Why isn't she out there? And then some comedian, I don't remember who it was, one of the late night guys said, hey,
I think it was some guy, Oliver.
And Julia, two
It's a
totally
John
different
Oliver?
people.
Different guy than Tom, I'll get to that in a moment. I will, but just to say, it's a great movie. Tom Hanks in the role of Mr. Fred Rogers, and congratulations to him once again for yet another Oscar nomination for the role portrayed in the movie he did. I'm getting close to Sunshine Square, is the thing, and I just woke up not more than
David Williamson 2020 in mobile mode to Sunshine Square,
my alarm clock.
a shopping center down on Long Island. Yes, that's right.
Got the cup of coffee. That's the main thing.
How about this song, the month?
Okay, it looks like we're now ready to engage and, again, go to the current, which, of course, is 2023. 6:59, 1 minute to the Monsignor here on March the 5th, 2023. WBAB, well, it's Pat Benatar. Hit me with your best shot. That's my alarm on my phone.
102.3.
I'm sorry, that's my alarm on my phone, Black Velvet, set for 7 a.m. Apologize. All right, so they're doing another tune. Why not the Monsignor? It's exactly 7 a.m. sharp. That's what normally happens. Well, sometimes there are changes. You never know. Sometimes interesting things can happen. For example, I've had it before where, well, it was like 7 a.m. sharp, and they start up this like Long Island or New York State Legislative Affairs show, like out of the blue, and they start talking about politics. I'm like, this is the Monsignor slot, 7 a.m. every Sunday morning, WBAB 102.3, Long Island's only classic rock. And there have been other times when they've started it before 7, and I pop in, it's like, oh no, I'm in the middle of the Monsignor's show. What am I going to do? And then, like I said, I just cycle back using the new website. It's not new anymore, religionandrock.com, where you can go and binge listen to as many things as you want to. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to the show. Moving forward, they just might have decided. Sometimes they'll cut a song in half, and kind of like fade it out and just segue very nicely into the Monsignor show, like that. You see, they didn't play the whole Blitzkrieg bop. They didn't do the whole thing.
We see Long Island. Before all else, we see you. Every unique, astounding one of you. LongLiveLongIsland.org.
While I have a chance, during the little intro by Steve Winwood, those gaps will come along. Price you pay whenever you're in iHeart. It's kind of random,
Welcome to another edition of Religion and Rock. I'm Monsignor Jim Vlorn, and here he is our producer and engineer, Mr. Stephen Chaldone.
Hello there, sir. Good day to you. How are things?
Things are good. Lent is moving along, which is good. Like that. I have to tell you, record numbers of people coming to church. My Lord, what a great thing. I can't believe it.
Well, that's a good thing.
Things are up. I mean, masses are up. Like 100 people a mass up. Mm-hmm. It's great. And we have like 7, 8, 9 masses. It's great.
That's because we're coming out of these troubled times, and now people are happy. Before you needed to go to church just to get through it. Now you're going to church because you're happy you got through it.
I think everybody's also in need of a little religion these days. There's a big national study that just came out. It said a lot of people need faith. They've been saying that we need faith back in our lives, and they're returning to formal services, which is great. Mm-hmm. Kind of need that.
I couldn't imagine going through life without faith.
Yeah, it'd be tough, right?
I don't know what I would do without it. I really,
it's sort of tough, man. That's the whole thing, right?
Although, if I didn't have faith, then I wouldn't have to be sacrificing for Lent, and I'd be a little bit happier right now.
Be having gum and meat. So good for you. We're talking about commitment today. The importance of commitment and being committed in this world to different things, important things, and whatever your cause is, but not just that. Commitment to relationships, commitment to faith. A lot of different areas of commitment, don't you think, Sheldon?
Oh, yeah. There's, every area that you have, if you care about it, you have a commitment to something.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not easy. There's always that call to commitment, and we are called to deepen it. And that's kind of what Lent is good for doing, to deepen that commitment we have to faith and charity. That's what it's all about. I think in our lives, no matter who we are, there's a certain level of commitment. Then there's certainly like that moment where you say, oh, the heck with it. I think that's important to it's good to know about that, It's good to know about that.
Well, you can be committed to quitting. I mean, you can't be faulted if you try something and you commit to it and you give it your best and it just doesn't turn out to be satisfactory. And you kind of say, all right, at least you gave it a shot,
I said, I have a great doctor now. I'm so happy with my doctor now. I know I don't want to say her name on the radio, but anyway, I go to her and she's like, very encouraging. It's a whole different way of being a doctor. Like, I used to be scared of the doctor, screaming at but no yelling. But she's like, don't give up. Don't give up. You got to keep going. Don't give up. Like that encouragement. Wow. What a difference that makes. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of a commitment. She's committed to her profession, but she helps me to be committed to living a healthy life as best I can. And it's kind of a cool thing. I'm very, very happy with that. Like in our lives, nobody responds to being yelled at, really, right?
Not in a positive way, at least.
No, even when the boss yells at you, it doesn't make anything better. I mean, I think about that all the time. I mean, if somebody messes up or they take an easy way out and they get caught,
right.
What am I supposed to do? Yell at them and chew them out? Come on. I mean, I would say that. You know better. So, come on. Right. I think, trust the people you love and all that.
We all make mistakes, and nobody wants to make mistakes or screw something up. But when it happens, you got to have a little bit of compassion to it. And at least you're all committed to the same goal.
Well, and there are other times we make mistakes because we choose to, right?
Yes.
I think I'll leave at work an hour early and nobody will notice, that kind of thing.
I didn't want to say that.
Yeah, well, those kinds of things, that's part of our lives too. It's called sin. And that's what Lent is good about, is kind of getting rid of the sin in our lives. So we're taking a big look today at commitment in our lives, how we
could live a better life, a more committed life, and do the right thing a little bit more. All that boils down to making us happier and really more joyful in our lives and in our relationship with God. So it's all about the gift of commitment in our lives today. Don't give up, right? That's what it's all about. Here's Eric Clapton to start us off, Forever Man. Is Eric Clapton, Forever Man. You know, there are people in our lives who've walked with us forever. They've been with us since the beginning. They've been with us through thick and thin. And there's something really powerful about that. You know, we recognize that about them, that they've been with us through it all. And to that, you know, that moment in our lives. I know somebody who was celebrating an anniversary in AA recently, and he said to me, you know, my sponsor's been with me since the beginning. It's my 30th anniversary. He's been with me for 30 years. That's a tremendous, tremendous gift, a tremendous commitment to help one another, to be there for one another. We have that in so many areas of our lives, right? Where people sort of are those coaches in our lives, friends that we make who just stand with us through thick and thin. Of course, spouses, those kinds of things make a huge difference in our lives. And we are meant to be connected to other people. You know, in the Bible, it says in Genesis, right? It's not good for the man to be alone. God understood that. And he said, yeah, I better make something else going on here because it's not going to be good for him to be alone. So he made a woman, right? That's kind of an important thing in our lives to remember, that we're here to be with one another. We're here to walk with one another. And that connectedness makes all the difference in the world, helps us in so many different ways. So commitment isn't something to run from. It's something to kind of run to. And it helps us to be stable and to really recognize God's love in our lives. Here's the Pretenders. I'll stand by.
Tears are in your eyes. Come on and come to me now. Don't be ashamed to cry. see you through, 'cause I've seen the dark side too. When the night falls on you, you don't know what to do. Nothing you confess could make me love you less. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Wanna nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. So if you're mad, get mad. Don't hold it all inside. Come on and talk to me now. What you got to hide? I get angry too.
We seem to have lost the signal from iHeart, reacquiring. Okay, got the signal back again.
And when the night falls on you, baby, you'll feel it all alone. Won't be on your own. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. Take me into your darkest hour, and I'll never desert you. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. Baby, you're into the darkest hour, and I'll never desert you. I'll stand by you.
The Pretenders, I'll Stand By You. That's another very, very important part of this commitment thing, is that people who have to stand by us when things aren't so great, right? There are times when things are great and everybody kind of wants to stand by you, like when you're a big winner and everything's going fine. But when you're out of work or when things aren't so good or where you're a little down, you just lost somebody, those kinds of things are moments where we need people to stand by us. And in a sense, that's a true test of friendship and family. The people who are with us in good times and in bad, in sickness and in health. That's an important thing to say. You know, there are those people who are there that just have changed our lives for good. And there's a commitment to gratefulness, I think, that we all need to have there, to recognize how important those people are in our lives and how we do that for others in their life too, right? I can think about friends who I've been with for years, who've been friends with for years. And we've all kind of lived through bad moments individually, but we've all kind of rallied around one another in those bad moments individually, and we get through. You know, we've lost parents, we've lost friends, we've had difficult days. All of that stuff adds up and makes a huge difference. And that's part of what you and I are called to share with one another all the time. It's that commitment of friendship and that commitment of friendship and love that help us to get through it all that makes such a big difference. Here's Bob Seger, Like a Rock.
Well, that's like Faye. I mean, I've talked about it over the past several years. You know, I've been through some, rough patches. And Faye, she has always stood by me, and love her. I'm going to join Bob Seger in the singing of this song.
Felt like a million, felt like number one. The height of summer, I never felt that strong. Like a rock. I was 18, didn't have a care, working for peanuts, not a dime to spare. But I was leaning, solid everywhere, like a rock. My hands were steady, my eyes were clear and bright. My walk had purpose, my steps were quick and light. And I held firm to what I felt was right. sometimes where they're gone. And sometimes late at night, oh, when I'm bathed in the firelight, the moon comes calling a ghostly way. I recall, like standing arrow straight, like a rock, charging from the gate, like a rock, carrying the weight, like a
I was very happy to have Bob Seger's great song Against the Wind alongside my failed candidacy for the presidency of the United States in 2020. However, I will point out, again, I did concede gracefully at the time when, November the 3rd, as well, November the 7th, on a Saturday, when all the mainstream media came out and said that it was Mr. Biden. I absolutely did. Check the record on that. You'll find that I ran. I did. Didn't run, but it was a learning experience. I learned that I didn't win. I did.
Bob Seger, like a rock. How important that is in our lives, right? I remember when Jesus was calling the apostles, right? He says to one, your name is going to be Rock. Peter, I'm calling you that because you are the sturdy one. You're the one upon I'm going to build the whole church. There's something important about that in our own lives, that in some ways, we're called to be rock. We're called to be rock solid, to be people upon whom other people can depend, people who we can be dependable to. There's something important about that, to be a rock. Are you a rock in certain ways? That doesn't mean you don't have emotion. That doesn't mean you're not an emotional person. It means that we're kind of sturdy, that we're there. And I think there's something about being sturdy in this world that's good, It's one thing to be friendly with people that are people we want something from or need something from, but then it's about that just being there. And those are the people in our lives, wow, those rocks that make such a huge difference, and who'll be honest with us and tell us stuff that maybe nobody else will tell us. But those are the things that help us to grow and the people that help us to grow. Today's a good day to be thankful to God for those people, to offer a prayer of thanksgiving to the Peters, to the rocks in our life, upon whom our lives are built. They come and they go, maybe those folks, but while they're there, boy, what a great rock and what a great achievement that is in our lives. Here's John Hyatt, Have a Little Faith in Me.
you. I will catch you fall, baby. Just have a little faith in me. 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 Well, I've been loving you for such a long time, girl, expecting nothing in return, just for you to have a little faith in me. You see, time is our friend, 'cause for us there is no end, and all you gotta do is have a little faith in me. I said, I will hold you up. I will hold you up. Your love, give me strength enough to have a little faith in me. I said, hey, all you gotta do for me, girl, is have a little bit of faith in me. I said,
Have a little faith in me. Now, certainly, again, all of these commitments and stuff take a little bit of trust. And having faith in people is something that is a bit of a leap sometimes, right? Why do we not want to get super close to people sometimes? I guess because we're afraid that they'll walk away or that they'll talk about us or tell the stories we tell. And that's about having faith in people, being able to be a good judge of character, a good judge of a person's sincerity. And those things make a big difference. I think it takes some prayer, too, to be able to pray about our friends, to pray in gratefulness to God for the people who come into our lives and the people who've come and gone out of our lives, to recognize the power of who those people are, and to have a little faith in humanity, to have a little faith in our friends and recognize the power of who these people are in our lives. They come, yeah, and they stay. And there are these honest folks who are just there for us. They love us for who we are, and that makes such a huge difference in our lives. So yeah, we recognize the power of that. The people who've had faith in us, the people who trusted us, the people who we really trust and can say something to and can call up and bounce an idea off of or a problem off of, and recognizing that they're there with us always. There's something really good about that. Next song's just about it too. This is Bon Jovi. I'll be there for you.
I guess this time you're really I'll hold your suitcase, say goodbye. That's my broken heart that's bleeding. You say true love, it's suicide. You say you cried 1,000 rivers, and now you're swimming for the shore. You left me drowning in my dreams, and you won't stay there anymore. I'm praying to God you'll give me one more chance, girl. I'll be there for you. These my words, I swear to you. When you breathe, I wanna be here for you. I'll be there for you. I live right back for you. I still sun from the sky for you. Words can't say what love can do. I'll be there for you.
for you. I remember the morning my mom passed away, you know. I hang up the phone with my dad. We're both upset, you know, and I'm at my place, he's at his place. And I call up my buddy, John, and the next thing you know, he's at my house, you know, and he's sitting there with me. And, you know, was he offering? Not much, right? And I'm not able to even be offered much. I mean, I'm not inconsolable. I knew my mom was passing, you know, and I know she's going to a better place. But just to have somebody there with you makes all the difference in the world, right? Just another person who, you know, cares about you. And there's something about that that's such an important thing in our lives, you know, that sometimes God calls us to be there for other people for a certain period of time. And there's something about that that's really good. I remember a guy asked me, one of my friends asked me one time to go visit his friend in the hospital, and he was dying of brain cancer. I remember going up there. I visited him a few times. He was wearing like a football helmet or a protective helmet, and I was wearing it, taking pictures, and his buddies would come every day and bring him food, and this great, great relationship, you know. And he passed away, and I remember doing his funeral. But it was about being there for him in that moment, you know, where God called me in. It's about those moments where you kind of get that call from God and say, this is the moment, get in there, make a difference, be present, help to be my wings of angels, if you will, you know, and help people through difficult times. I think that's what God calls us to, and that's an important thing for us to remember. Hey, I'm Monsignor Jim. You're listening to Religion and Rock. We're talking about commitment today. Here's Bruce Springsteen, Into the Fire.
The sky was falling, it's streaked with blood. I heard you calling me, and you disappeared into the dust. Upstairs, into the fire. Upstairs, into the fire. I need your cue. Loving duty called you someplace high, somewhere upstairs, into the fire. May your strength give us strength. May your faith give us faith. May your hope give us hope. May your love give us love. May your strength give us strength. May your faith give us faith. May your hope give us hope. May your love give us love. Fields are written on the ground. Gave your love to me. Lay your young body down. Up the stairs, in the fire. In the stairs, in the fire. I need you. Loving you, call you someplace high, somewhere upstairs, into the fire. May your strength give us strength. May your faith give us faith. May your hope give us hope. May your love give us love. May your strength give us strength. May your faith give us faith. May your hope give us hope. May your love give us love. May your strength give us strength. May your faith give us faith. May your hope give us hope. May your love give us love. It was dark, dark to see, feeling like you need. You lay your hand on me, walked into the darkness of your smoky grave. Upstairs, into the fire. Upstairs, into the fire. I need your cue. Loving you, call you someplace high, somewhere upstairs, into the fire. May
Bruce Springsteen, Into the Fire. Sometimes when we get involved with somebody, we get committed to somebody, we realize it's going to be like an into the fire kind of thing. Like we recognize that we're dealing with somebody in a difficult situation. We're dealing with somebody who has many needs or who's particularly broken in a particular way. And it's not going to be a cakewalk, right? A lot of friendships and relationships are not cakewalks. But nonetheless, commitment is an important thing, right? Even as human beings, we need to be committed. I mean, God asks us to be committed, for example, to our environment. So like if we're still throwing stuff out of our car windows at this point, come on, right? That's crazy. Commitment talks us to be looking out for one another and to looking out for this world and be responsible with how we live our lives, right? So yeah, we're going to jump into the fire a little bit here. It might involve us, recycling. It might involve us not throwing things out our window. It might involve us living with a little bit less. Those things that kind of, are not so comfortable, that are kind of the into the fire moments, are going to make the world a better place. And that's part of our commitment that we're called to kind of recognize that, Our faith commits us to care for the environment. The Pope is talking about that all the time. We have to be those kinds of people who are committed to making the world a better place, not just environmentally, but by our presence in the ways that we live. The next thing about commitment, boy, makes all the sense in the world. This is Green Day, Church on Sunday. Church on Sunday. Yep. Well, think about that. That's part of the commitment of faith. Can you have a commitment in faith? Why or don't you have a commitment in faith? You think about that. If you listen to this show right now, you have some commitment of faith, and thank God. The point of that is that, we need to have some kind of commitment to a relationship with God, because that gives life meaning. It gives us the sense of, there's hope here. This is not just a hopeless life that just ends in death and in dirt, right? No, it ends in that gift of eternal life, and we recognize that. And we recognize that, the commitment of faith is such an important one because it changes life dramatically. People who don't have faith, they're living life kind of in one dimension. It's kind of black and white, right? But when we live in faith, we recognize that there's color here. There's 3 dimensions. There's this dimension of God in our life that's so important. And when we recognize that, it's not some kind of like pill that we take to make ourselves feel better. No, not at all. It's the challenge of how to live life with meaning, how to live life using gifts that God has given us and kind of returning them. That's a commitment that we make, the commitment of faith. And we pray that it deepens, particularly in Lent, that it deepens a little bit. And by the Lenten practices that we're doing, the reason we do a Lenten practice is to allow ourselves to deepen that Lenten commitment, our relationship with God. And hopefully things change a little bit, not tremendously, but a little bit. And we grow a little closer to that commitment and a little more steadfast in it every day. Here's Don Henley, I Will Not Go Quietly.
All right, now this is again I'm so excited to be a part of this. And I love Don's music, Don Henley, whether it's from his solo career or indeed his work with the Eagles. Absolutely, I'm really excited about it, whenever it happens. Lately, I've been making YouTube videos of my show, so I'm always saddened whenever YouTube happens to identify an Eagles song or indeed a song from Don's solo career and I have to cut it out. That's like, oh no. But sometimes we have to make those sacrifices so that, my entire YouTube video could survive. Otherwise, it wouldn't be allowed to be posted. And so absolutely. But yeah, I've had a lot of great Eagles stories on the program. The one that comes instantly to mind is the one written by Elizabeth Nelson for my friends over at TheRinger.com, in which they said the case against the Eagles. They had some disparaging remarks against the Eagles, and I defended them to the best of my abilities on the show. And just talked about what a great rock and roll band, and the evidence is really, it's out there. You folks, you can find the evidence. The proof is in the pudding. All you got to do is check the statistics of, number of tickets sold for concerts, number of records sold, and their greatest hits, so far as I know, remains the largest greatest hits compilation album of any band. And again, if anyone knows of any other artist that has had a larger greatest hits album than their greatest hits, their original, then I'll retract my statement and I'll say, hey, I was wrong. I'm not always right. I come out here on the program and just saying, absolutely. Now, within the article, there was this guy, Will Sheff. Now, again, I'm not going after Will. I'm just saying Will, an artist in his own right, he wanted to cover one of Don's songs. It's called, I hope Don won't mind if Don ever hears this, if I just mention The End of the Innocents. Again, the title track of his 3rd solo studio album, a fantastic song. And the guy said, Will Sheff said, Don didn't stick the landing. And I want to tell you, Don Henley stuck the landing, not only on The End of the Innocents, every other song from his solo career, including this one, which again, I'm obviously trying to prevent you from being recorded into my show, so it'll save me time later, you understand. And if I had the time, I'd bust into a Wasted Time. Again, probably the live version from Hell Freezes Over. No, I'm just saying, their great album around 1995, the live version from Hell Freezes Over, Wasted Time. Don't have that kind of time. 7:46 a.m., and I would never do that anyway. Pop into, the middle of the Monsignor show, and then, when it's live. Now, let's say something technical happened this morning and I couldn't get into iHeart. Well, that would be a different matter entirely. And if I knew that this was not going to be a YouTube video, that I had no intention of ever wasting my time in making one, then absolutely a wasted time, or whatever. Maybe a Hotel California, again, live version from the same album, absolutely, or any of their great hits from that album, like Learn to Be Still. Fantastic song sung by Don on the album, and there's been a lot of great Don Henley stories down through time. The great story about the origins of the Boys of Summer. How did it happen? Well, let me tell you, Mike Campbell was involved in that, of the Heartbreakers. You guys probably know Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Yeah, Mike had a tape, and it was a dark and stormy evening, and he brought it over to Don, because Don was working on an album at the time. He needed new material, needed, new songs, and he said, come on in, Mike, let me see what you got. Now, they sat down at a long conference table. It was Mike Campbell at one end and Don Henley on the other with the tape recorder. Don hit play, and out of it, it's like, and Don, it was like, rock and roll, guitar riffs, whatever it was, And Don, very impassive, kind of poker player face, no tell in Don's face. He said, Thanks, Mike. I appreciate this. Leave it here with me for a while. I'll work on it, you know. And Mike said, okay, thanks, Don. And I'm sorry, Mike left. And then later, it was that same night, you know. Don calls Mike Campbell. He said, Mike, guess what? I just wrote the best song I've written in the last 10 years. This is fantastic. Thank you so much. And it was, in fact, The Boys of Summer. Let's say I don't have enough time left. Then I talk about, well, some young men in Little League. That's right. That come from different states, oftentimes to Long Island. And Faye and I have dubbed them, they're the Boys of Summer. They're dressed in their uniforms. It's a beautiful day. They're going out to play ball. And, they have some wonderful ballparks on Long Island, and they go out and play baseball. Now, believe it or not, The Boys of Summer, it actually was like originally written by some guy about the Brooklyn Dodgers, talking about the Boys of Summer baseball stories. Absolutely. And before that, someone wrote something about it totally unrelated to baseball back, I think, like in the 19th century. But these things have come on through, and here you have. I don't think Don ever really intended it to be a baseball story, The Boys of Summer. There were some great things mentioned. And again, those Wayfarer sunglasses from back in the 80s, those fashion glasses, that Wayfarer sunglasses. Now, oftentimes here I am at the Two Hearts Sunglasses supermarket, and yes, I still have.
Quietly, that's a good one, because it kind of talks about the fact that, commitment also makes us to take a stand sometimes. So if you are taking a stand about something, the poor, the needy, for peace in this world, for peace in Ukraine, those kinds of things, maybe there comes a time where we just can't be quiet supporters, but we have to say something publicly about how we feel about things and what we think, God would want from us. I don't think anybody can really go through this world absolutely quietly. At some point, we have to be what I call prophetic. Prophets were people who called out others, just by the virtuous way they lived their life. I think the same thing is true for us, that we can't just go through life quietly. We have to be those people who recognize that God calls us to take a stand and to be out there a little bit. And in that being out there, the commitment of others maybe gets inspired. So we have this ability to kind of inspire others to commitment by how we don't go quietly. So if it's time to take a stand, you take that stand and be proud of it, because that's what God is calling you to. Here's REO Speedwagon, Keep On Loving You.
Yeah, sometimes I do this one, and I also like Phil Collins, Can't Stop Loving You. But REO, I gotta go.
You should have seen by the look in my eyes, baby. There was something missing. You should have known by the tone of my voice, baby, but you didn't listen. You played dead, but you never lived.
Speedwagon, Keep on Loving You. That's that love and commitment we see in marriage. Parents to their children, children to their parents. That commitment that's sort of lifelong no matter what. A lot of you know, I take care of my dad who's in a nursing home. There's something about that that's really beautiful. To be able to see that keep on loving you, that no matter what, in good times and bad, in sickness and health, until death do us part, that's what that kind of love is about. That kind of commitment is a beautiful example to us, right? We need that kind of commitment that it calls us to recognize that, yeah, we will keep on loving no matter what. Have there been arguments? Sure. Have there been difficult days? Of course. But we recognize that, yeah, that's the challenge. The challenge is to keep on loving the ones we're committed to so that in good times and in bad, in sickness and health, we kind of live that commitment. It becomes an example to others. God calls us to be that example because it inspires others to do the same. And that's what makes all the difference in the world. Here's Billy Joel, Getting Closer.
I went searching for the truth, but to my innocence I found all the cunning and their acrobats to stop me in the ground. If I count up their percentages, I know they're getting rich, but they haven't taken everything those paybacks are a bitch. Though I lost quite a lot, I am still in control. They can keep what they've got, but they can't have my soul. And if I don't have this getting closer, I still have love to go against. Getting closer, getting closer. What was ripped on my professionals is not all that it seems. While I must live up to contracts, I did not give up my dreams. If I see it as experience, it hasn't gone to waste. Lately, all the missing pieces have been falling into place. And if I could go back and start over somehow, I would not change that much. The way works I know now. Though there have been sins I will regress, I'm getting closer, getting closer. I don't have all the answers yet, but I'm getting closer, getting closer. To Berlin, and I should have learned to kick them out as soon as they called in. So to every bank in Switzerland that stores my stolen youth, I'm alright because despite the laws, you cannot hide the truth. And although you will say I am still too naive, well I have not lost faith in the things that I believe. And if so have this all touched, I'm getting closer, getting closer. Still have to go down, getting closer, getting closer.
as Billy Joel, getting closer. Well, that's part of our lives and commitment too, that we can actually mark growth sometimes in commitment. If you think about like day 1 in marriage, if you think about day, whatever, 500 or 1,000, the commitment changes. It develops in time. And there's something beautiful about that. All of our commitments develop in time if we're open to allowing God to deepen us. And that's what it's about in Lent. Allow God to deepen you so that commitments can even flow from you a little bit better. I'm hoping for that same prayer. We're all in this together. Commitment's a great thing. You've been listening to Religion and Rock. It's hosted by me, Monsignor Jim Vaughn, and it's engineered and produced by the great Stephen Chaldone. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and don't forget, say a prayer.
All right, we'll do as the Monsignor suggests and say a brief prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we'd like to thank you for the Monsignor Show, Religion and Rock, and today's message on commitment. Lord, guide us, guide our hearts and our minds. Help us to commit to you, ourselves, our lives, and help us, Lord, also to guide us in our relations with other people everywhere that we are. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so now it's exactly 8 o'clock. Let's go ahead and see what kind of song WBAB 102.3 has coming out of the Monsignor Show. I always like to know that.
It's so fine, I never see you leaving by the back door. Sometimes get him on it's easy. So fine, come on over see me. Ragdoll, never want you to be like you never before. I'm feeling like a bad boy, but she's like a bad boy. I'm ripping up the bad dog, like throwing old toys. Some bitch gonna be loud, talking all about the new crowd. Try to tell me I'm an old dream, a new version of the old scene. Speak easy on the grapevine, but keep shoveling and shoes down. Up dizzy, too dizzy, give it all you got, take it, put it on your history. Right now, living in a movie, hot trains, gas in the cutie. So fine, I never see you leave on the back door. Get around the TV, so mine, come on over see me. Ragdoll, baby, want you to be like you never before. Yes, I'm moving, yes, I'm moving. Get ready for the big time, tap dancing on the landmine. Yes, I'm moving, yes, I'm moving.
Ha 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 ha. Yeah, I'm moving off of that one. They have a sense of humor over there at WBAB 102.3, Long Island's only classic rock at the College Hunks Hall and Junk studio. They certainly do on a Sunday morning. I talked to Faye about it. I said, Faye, look at the selection of the songs over years that they like to play coming out of the Monsignor Show. And I showed her, some songs and the lyrics to them. She's like, you're right, they do that. Yeah, sure they do that, So many great ones. How about AC/DC, You Shook Me All Night Long. John Mellencamp, Hurts So Good. They do it to him all the time. I don't know why they do it, but doggone it, that's a funny thing. But yeah, it's cool. And, the Monsignor says, don't forget, say a prayer. I say a prayer, and then that's why I would like to say it, because, it's just, kind of interesting. Now, how about that last song there? That was cool with Billy Joel, How about if I do like an All for Lena right now? Or, again, I'm half a mile away from my apartment. It'll be time to go back because, again, I'm out of coffee. I'm dry. So it's like, it's no good anymore. But, yeah, how about David Williams of yesterday? He was doing a thing and, just kind of helping me out, making it easier for me moving forward with today's show. And so that's why sometimes I would like bail and I'd say, okay, because I know he also has some time travel. We've heard from 2020. We've heard from 2022, and 2021 will be along. If I can find it, on my songboard Sing in the archive, then definitely for sure 2021 will be along as well. around this time, early March. Great shows on Commitment. Now, there's also another show out there on Renewal, which is kind of a similar thing. You know, when you renew something that you're working on, it, whatever it is, whether it's at work or let's say it's a hobby. Hobbies are great things people have. Whatever you're working at, you know, if you recommit to that, you know, and you renew your hope and your faith and your drive, you know, sometimes Phil's got this great song. I'm serious, from his album, but seriously, if you're hanging long enough, you'll get it done. Now I'm just in a stall routine. Now I just want to know what the second song is they have coming out of them, a seniors break, or something like that. And then, but, you know, the Billy Joel or again, you know, David Williams of yesterday would bail me out of this thing, and in a hurry, if you could, please. So David Williams of the past now with this thing from 2020, George Harrison, you know.
It's gonna take time.
George's album, All Things Must Pass, completely remastered by his son Donnie. And don't forget, you got to get the party disc with this thing.
Oh, you have to have
I think it's going to take a lot of time to do this show, reflecting on commitment. It's going to take a lot of time because we're in 2020 right now. We're going to 21, 22, you know, and of course the live show Sunday morning, WBAB by the Monsoon, your commitment.
which is what we just had.
Oh, well, they're in a commercial break right now.
Yeah, we've entered a new time zone. Completely different. I'm excited too. March 13th, 2022. What are you going to do? Sing with Elton or pass?
That happens with iHeart, you know.
The gap.
And
Oh,
it
the
happens in
gap.
intervals. Those gaps are like 1 second long. And they come in. That's the price you pay, you know, for not being within range of WBAB. I just want to make you aware that now I'm going to join, obviously.
As well as
Elton
I
sing
also
with
am
us.
going to.
I miss the earth so much. I miss my wife. kids. In fact, it's cold as hell, and there's no one there to raise them if you did. And all the science I don't understand. It's just my job 5 days a week. It's gonna be a long, long time to touch down, reach you now and get to find a long, long night. I think I am at and I think it's gonna be a long, long time to touch down, reach you now and get to find a long, long night. I think I am at home and I think it's gonna be a long, long time. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time. And I think it's gonna be a long, long
Love 2.3 WBN, only classic rock.
Ain't that cool? Then you got Tom Petty with a refugee, and I'm
I
gonna
love
join you
that
on
song
one,
again.
too.
Yeah, what a
Now,
great
they
thing.
say Mars cold, owing to its
Yeah.
increased distance from the sun compared to
Yeah.
Earth.
Cold.
Somebody must keep you ransom. Who knows that you get that tired, taken away now for ransom.
You know, it would be cool now, you know, Stevie Nicks would stop dragging my heart around with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, you know. I don't think David of the past can make that kind of a transition, though. Again, the Monsignors coming
Long
out.
Island, before all else, we see you. Every unique, astounding one of you. LongLiveLongIsland.org.
All right, here he is, Monsignor Jim Vaughn and Religion and Rock.
Welcome to another edition of Religion and Rock. I'm Monsignor Jim Vaughn, and here is our producer and engineer, Mr. Stephen Chaldone.
Hey there, how are you?
Good, doing well. Thank you I wanted to tell you, thank you for coming to my telephone.
It was fun. I always loved, I love doing it. This makes, what, 2,500 that we've done? 400?
Yeah, it's been a lot of years. And interesting, like when you were on, this was a kind of cool thing. I don't know if everybody knew that, but Cardinal Dolan was
I know. We had
on Cardinal Dolan. That was kind of cool.
It was kind of humbling, and I really like him. I'd like to have dinner with him. He is just a normal, everyday guy who happens to be a cardinal.
Everyday guy.
He's an everyday guy.
But like I should, you know, it's interesting because not everybody sees it. Like, but we all are. You know, that's kind of
Well, that's the whole thing. Yeah, you all really are. You know, if you get
that's the bottom line.
behind that black suit.
Yeah, normal people. It's an interesting thing, though. Like, you know, I'm glad for that telephone. I'm glad for the people who are committed to our ministry, the people we're committed to. And we're looking at that commitment thing because it's hard to be committed today. You know, like in this terrible war situation, the heart is breaking, committed to prayer, to pray for peace in this world. It's not easy to stay steadfast, is it? You know, we're beginning Lent. Like, are you keeping your Lenten promises already?
Or are they broken like your New Year's resolutions?
Exactly. I'm reading this book called Preparing for Easter. It's written by C.S. Lewis. And it's been a good book for people because did you ever read C.S. Lewis?
No, I think he did Alice in Wonderland. That's it.
Sheldon. But I mean, I'll help you with it. But it's an interesting thing because as you read, you learn a little more, you grow in depth. That's what commitment's all about. That's what we're looking at today on Religion and Rock. No matter who you are, you know, commitment is an important part of our lives because it's what keeps, you know, marriages together and families together and people in work. And I mean, it takes commitment to do this. And not every day is the best day of your life, right? I mean, that's fact.
No, and it's, you know, it's hard to keep committed when the grass isn't green. It's easy when everything's going great, you know, and everything, blah, 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 blah. That's easy. It's when it's hard, you know, and it's hard to be committed when you keep seeing, you know, COVID, this new thing with Ukraine, this thing, that thing, Democrats, Republicans. It's hard to be committed to caring, you know, because you get so overwhelmed.
I think of that a lot when I'm doing a wedding, believe it or not. I always say to myself, well, today you're really committed because you're like so head over heels. But what happens when the tough times come?
Right.
I'm praying to God that they, you know, that they'll be able to withstand that. It's not easy though, right?
No, it's not. And that's really when you test your relationship and your commitment to each other. And some people succeed and other people fail, you know. It's just, you know, sad.
And that's kind of the challenge for you and for me, you know, to be committed and to stay with it when the going gets tough. I mean, no matter who you are, we're all called to that. Even faith, you know, because a lot of times even our faith life, our prayer life kind of becomes a little desert-like, a little dry, a little arid. You know, it's like, how do you kind of stay with it, you know, when you feel like you're just talking to yourself? Well, because it gets better. You got to just hang through and hang in it. And that's such an important thing. Like even these Lenten promises, you know, you say, well, I'm not going to do this. How long will they last? 2 days, 3 days? Like, how do we stay by doing things we know we can attain, by doing things that will help us to grow? That's why I'm doing this C.S. Lewis stuff, because I always wanted to read a lot of C.S. Lewis, and I always wanted to spend some time with him. So I'm kind of glad, like, all right, you know what? We'll get to know each other better during Lent, and that'll make me a little bit smarter. I hope. Possible. So, you know, we're going to try. The show is all about commitment. It's about the power of commitment in our lives, recognizing that everything hinges on that. Our faith life, our hope, and our love, our commitments based. We have to be a committed people. That's what we're talking about. To start us off, this is Billy Joel, all for Lena.
All right, this is fantastic. And now, of course, from his 1980 album Glass Houses, and what a great album, as I read from Ultimate Classic Rock. It's the album that toughened Billy up. I'm going to join in. I'm sure David. Well, I don't know if he was doing it. This might have been the first time. And so I may have just in the past said nothing at all. But since that time, I've been doing it fairly often. And other songs from Glass Houses and other Billy Joel albums as well.
She stood on the tracks, waving her arms, leading me to that third rail shock. As I wink, she changed her mind. She gave me a night, that's all it does. What does it take until I stop kidding myself, wasting my time? Whoa, yes I can do, 'cause I'm doing it all for later. I don't want anyone to, 'cause I'm doing it all for later. Just stop thinking if I do, 'cause I'm doing it all for later. We lay on the beach, watching the tide. She didn't tell me there were rocks under the waves, right off the shore. Washed up on the sun, barely alive, wishing the undertow would stop. How can a man take any more? There's nothing else I can do, 'cause I'm doing it all for later. I don't want anyone to, 'cause I'm doing it all for later. There's nothing else I can do, 'cause I'm doing it all for later. Playing school, losing my friends, making my family lose their minds. I don't wanna eat, I don't wanna sleep, I only wanna eat one more time. Now I'm in my room, watching the tube, telling myself she still may drop over to say she changed her mind. So wait in the dark, listening for her instead of my old man saying stop killing yourself, wasting your time. Whoa. 'Cause I'm doing it all for later. Don't want anyone to, 'cause I'm doing it all for later. There's nothing else I can do, 'cause I'm doing it all for later.
Yeah, so when the Monsignor played that one back on March the 13th of 2022, I didn't say a word, folks. Again, I just listened to it and said, wow, I hadn't heard that one in a while. Now, since then, I've been doing it a lot. Another, of course, Billy Joel songs will continue to do so. I stay committed to that as well, and will continue to do so. Again, the Monsignor.
It's Billy Joel, all for Lena. Sometimes I think about this when I do a funeral of someone who's an older person, somebody in their 80s or 90s, late 80s or 90s. I'll say, one of the things that was their goal was to sacrifice so that their kids would have a better life. So they drove older cars, they wore older clothes so we could have new clothes. And what happened 99.9% of the time is we had a better life because our parents sacrificed for us. I mean, that was true in my life. Absolutely. It paid off. There's something about that that's an important part of commitment, that parents commit to their kids to really working hard for them to have a better life. There's really nothing quite as good as that, It's such a beautiful thing to watch and to see. It's very, very moving to to kind of experience that gift of a better life given to us by our parents. It's inspiring, and it calls us to the same commitment, the commitment that God asks of us as a father or as a mother to give all we can to make our kids' lives great and help them to discover their greatness and their goodness. So don't ever take that, as not important. It's super important, super beautiful that God has called you to being a parent, and that sacrifice that gives that next generation a better life is so important too. And here's Queen, Keep Yourself Alive.
Yeah, you got to keep breathing, Yeah.
Keep yourself alive.
David Williams, yes.
Daily needs and things like that. Absolutely. Now that All for Lena, that was to me was a very special thing. I've never done an All for Lena on this program.
But you have since. There you have it. We'll finish this particular part. We'll be moving back. We'll be getting back to you, but we'll finish up this particular part one, which will be, a YouTube video out there with this great song. Again, Back to My Apartment in mobile mode. It's just a half a mile away. We welcome him back again. This will end, again, part one, if you're on the YouTube video or indeed in my songboard singing part one of Sunday Sunrise for today, March the 5th, 2023. Billy Joel.
Little Gino is a friend of mine. We get some money, we buy a cheap Hawaii, sit on a corner and have a holiday. Have a bottle when the cop goes by. Talk about who women and lie. Oh, my other world is just a half a mile away. Wait for mama to turn out the light. Crawl on the roof and then I hit the night. I should be sleeping, but tonight I just can't stay. I've given everybody so much time. Now I need a moment that's mine. Oh, my other world is just a half a mile away. It's just a half a mile away. It's just a half a mile away. Yeah, it's just a half a mile away. Angelina, save a place for me. I've been living someone else's life, and now I got to be free. Turn your transistors on and let the music play. Try to keep the family satisfied. There's gotta be more to life than just try. Oh, my other world is only half a mile away. It's just a half a mile away. It's just a half a mile away. Yeah, it's just a half a mile away. I've given everybody so much time. Now I need a moment that's mine. Oh, my other world is just a half a mile away. It's just a half a mile. Don't you know it's just a half a mile? It's just a half a mile. Just a half a mile away. It's just a
Yes, I know, Billy, or just, approximately 0.8 of a kilometer, 880 yards. Absolutely. Not that far away, not that far. Thank you very much. Continuing now on part two.